Man, we've had a crazy last couple days. We're still up here in Michigan, and we were planning on leaving out, and I started getting quite a few little warning lights on my dash. No big deal. Some of them were pretty simple. First one, low tire pressure warning. That wasn't a big deal because it's cooler up here. It's kind of funny though, because the computer, it tells you there's a low tire, but it doesn't tell you which one, and doesn't tell you how low, so it could be like a couple pounds low or 20 pounds low, you don't know, so you kind of freak out. And so I stopped at a gas station and actually found free air, and filled up, checked all the tires and filled up the one that was low. And then I got I washed my windshield, and then within 10 seconds of doing that, I got a warning sign that looked like a little poofy thing, and I'll show you that here. And in my mind, because I just washed the windshield and then seeing this symbol, I'm like, oh, that's a weird looking low windshield washer fluid symbol. And I just kept thinking about it and staring at it in the dash and so forth. And, well, maybe it is a German car. I've never seen one that looked like that, though, before. And then later on, after doing some stops and doing some other things, on my little computer area, the trip area, it said check DEF. And I'm like, oh, it's the DEF. It's not the windshield wiper fluid stuff. So I haven't had to do that yet. I go to the gas station and I go ahead and fill up, and I buy a 2.5 gallon box of this stuff. Alright, I got the 2.5 gallon box here of DEF that I'm going to add to the tank here. Alright, so here's the DEF tank, and we're going to add some to it. And let's see, I saw somewhere, oh yeah, minimum 2 gallons to put in there. So inside the engine compartment, there's a little sticker, and it says, if you get the warning, fill it up a minimum of 2 gallons. So I did the 2 gallons, and then looked at the warning light, and it's still on. So I add the whole box of 2.5 gallons, and the light still did not go out. And I was kind of starting to freak out because that was the only box that the gas station had. So I was going to have to go to another store and get another box. So I closed the hood, trying to figure out, okay, now where am I going to go? And we drive to another place and go in, get another 2.5 gallon box. And one quick little note, some of this stuff that you'll see has been recorded in real time when it happened, but it was so chaotic, I didn't get it all recorded or explained, and it was kind of frazzling for me. So we get another box in, and I fill up another gallon and a half of this stuff, and it finally went off, and I finally was able to breathe a sigh of relief. It took that much for it to go off, and but then you have this giant 2.5 gallon box. I'll show you this. It's back here. Then you have this giant box. I had to try to dispose of the first one in the garbage can outside the store. I had to smash it just to get in there. And, now we have another one. Well, I didn't quite use it all, and it was 13, so I don't want to throw it away. But I didn't need any more. But I had one thing that happened during that. I was able to get that taken care of, but it was nerve-wracking for me because I didn't expect it to take that much. And worried, what happens if the light doesn't go out? I'm way up here in Michigan. What happens if it doesn't go out? Well, it did. But because I was so preoccupied with worrying about, okay, it didn't go off after 2 gallons. Oh my God, I gotta go find another store and get another gallon. What happens if I can't find it? Blah, 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 blah. When I closed the hood, now my hair isn't blonde, but I had a blonde moment. It kind of gets blonde from the sun. Maybe that's what happened, but I had a blonde moment. When I closed the hood, I just closed it. There's a latch, and it's the first vehicle that I've owned that actually has a latch and not like the cylinders. And I just closed it, and when I went to open it to add more of that stuff, the metal thing to hold up the hood was like this. It was like a U shape. I bent it. I was able to get the hood closed and latched, but I'll show you some. Here's earlier. Come to find out, it had already been bent by the previous owners, and that's why it was so easy for me to bend it. I mean, I just pushed it down. It didn't feel like I was forcing it or doing anything like that. It felt like it just had the normal resistance of one of those shock things to hold up the hood, and I just, bam, So now I can't open the hood up correctly, but I did get that engine problem. It's like having to do maintenance on the road. So that was taken care of. And we had a big sigh of relief. You try to stay calm. I have a child with me. I'm not going to cuss and get mad. But, I can see my daughter looking at me out of the corner of her eye to see what my reaction is. But I was like, Adele, you're going to have to come out and hold the hood up. I screwed it up bad. You're going to have to help me hold it up. I can't hold it up. She was out there holding it up while I poured the rest of the DEF in there. So, you think that would be it? No, there was more. So we went to, we were in Ludington, Michigan, and we went to their lighthouse and their park, and I'm going to show you that footage now. I got something in my eye. We've been outside in the wind, and it's kind of cold, and we played out there, and then when we came back, we had another disastrous moment. So first I'm going to show you the nice scenery that we got to see, and the lighthouse and the park there, and then we'll come back. Alright, so then we get back from having a great afternoon playing around on the beach again. And we are walking up across the parking lot, and I see water flowing across the parking lot. And we're about eight spaces away from the van, and I look up and it's pouring out the bottom of the van. Not like in one spot, like everywhere. Tons of water dripping and flowing across the parking lot. And we get about 5 spaces away, and I could hear the water pump, my water pump in the kitchen. Where are you, pad water pump? Making the loud noise, and I take off running. I come around the side of the van, I unlock the door, get in here, and I can just hear the pump. I know it's run dry. And what happened was, we have a switch on there. We usually turn it off, so in case of it popping off, there's just a clamp holding the hose on our faucet. In case that pops off, it doesn't pump out our entire freshwater tank into the van. We forgot to turn it off. We were out at the beach playing all day, and it pumped out all of our fresh water into the van. Yeah. I could not record anything. I mean, I recorded all out there, and then we were walking back. I already had the camera away and stuff, and then I took off running, hearing it, and then coming in, I just started, trying to get it cleaned up as quick as I could. And so this is obviously afterwards. I didn't really have anything to say. I wouldn't have been able to record anything. I think I just said, "Oh my God," at least 50 times. The funny thing was, there was a car about 5 or 6 spaces over parked from the van, and they had their window down because they were eating lunch. And they had to have seen all this water dripping out from under the van, going across the parking lot towards their van. So it was 13 gallons. It was, my holding tank is 16. We had used some, and it was just recently refilled. But the good news was, the van was pretty level. So most of the water went out the steps and the drain hole things, and there really wasn't, like I was expecting, like open the door or something and water like a cartoon. And there really wasn't a gob of water. It didn't get into my daughter's bedding. It did get into some of our bags that were here near the seats. But within about 30 minutes, I had it cleaned up. But what I was worried about was underneath the sink is our power strip, and or off to the side, and I was worried that was going to short out. This here is the clamp that came off, and the hose, it's back on and tight again, but you can see this is where it built up too much pressure and blew it off. So as quick as I could, I unplugged everything from the power strip and tried to dry it out, and I left everything unplugged for quite a while, and we pretty much just sat there for a while in disbelief. Well, now I do have a jerry can that has it has 7 gallons of fresh water, so I did have a little bit of a backup, but it was still just in disbelief. So the faucet that we got, it didn't really have anything to screw onto. It's not a real big end to put the hose up on there. It slipped off. It just got too much pressure for that little short hose and stuff, and it's a lesson learned. We'll try to fix it, try to add, and I put it back on there, but we're just constantly turning the switch off right now. It's going to have to be fixed a little bit better, so that won't happen again, because it could have been a lot worse. But we made it through that, and so we needed to make some ground, and the rest of the day we've been traveling south to get a little bit warmer, and so we were traveling, and I heard some noise, and like just a weird zzz. It wasn't a zzz noise, but it was some kind of like crinkly noise or something. And I pulled over off of the highway, and I went back there and I looked. I didn't see anything. We got back on and I heard it again. I'm like, that's it, I'm gonna find that. I pulled over, and yes, it was the power strip shorting out. The water was down in there too far, and which meant that's all my lights. All my LED lights are plugged into that power strip, and they shorted out, and I couldn't get my hands behind the fridge to unplug it to be able to put a new power strip in there. So we're gonna have to spend a little time in the dark, without our lights. The fridge is still working, but the lights are not. That's what was in the power strip. So that's got to be fixed so we can have lights. I got a lantern and little desk light, little rechargeable lights, but that's about it right now. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and let you know when we get to our next campsite. These last couple of days have been really busy and kind of disastrous, so we are heading south, and we'll pick back up when we get to another campsite.